This is Warrior Kid Podcast number 22, Ask Uncle Jake. And this podcast is based on the two Way of the Warrior Kid books. The first one, which is called Wimpy to Warrior, the Navy SEAL Way. And the second one, which is called Mark's Mission. And there's actually a third one coming out, which is called Where There's a Will. And the books are about young Mark, who faces a lot of problems that kids everywhere face. But Mark gets help solving those problems from his Uncle Jake, who was a Navy SEAL and who stays with Mark in the summertime. And this podcast is for kids to hear some more lessons from Uncle Jake and also to get a chance to ask Uncle Jake some questions. So the first question is from Caitlin, and she is a warrior kid that is 7 years old. And she asks, what kind of books does Uncle Jake read? And what books should kids like me and Mark read? What is Mark's favorite subject? Well, hello, Caitlin. And I can tell you, I always liked books about history the most. I liked finding out what had happened in the world. And there are some really amazing books for kids about history. I always liked reading things that were nonfiction. Nonfiction meaning that they're true. They're not stories, but they're true things that actually happen, whether it's about history or science. But I also did like occasionally reading stories. But the most important thing is that you just read and read a lot. And I would say that Mark's favorite subject is also history. But Mark also likes science and math, and really he likes everything. And if you remember from the first Warrior Kid book, he's really good at art. He likes to draw. And one thing that I think is hard to see when you're going to school is that everything is related. Everything is related. Science, history, math, art, language. Language is related to history because different countries spoke different ways. And then science has an impact on history, because as new inventions are made, they can change the world. Things like the gas engine or the airplane or the computer, and all those things make art different. And so I always found it very interesting that everything that you learn is somehow related to other things that you already know. And I always had a good time trying to figure out how something new that I was learning related to something that I already knew. And that's something fun that you can do with reading. So read as much as you can. And like I said, nonfiction is interesting and you learn from it, but fiction is also good because you have to learn about creativity. You have to learn about people. And a lot of times what fiction does is teaches you about people. That's kind of what the Way of the Warrior Kid books are. They didn't really happen, but there's a lot of lessons in there about people and about growing up and about how to be stronger and faster and smarter. So all that reading is good. Read what interests you and tie it together with other things, and you'll see that really in the end, everything that you can learn is actually interesting. So read, and then read some more. And the next question is from Madison, and Madison is a warrior kid from California. And it says, I have two questions. Sometimes at school, kids cut in front of me in line. When should I just let it go and not say anything? And when should I speak up and tell my classmate not to cut? My second question is, how can I remember to do my chores throughout the day? My dad made me a chore chart for me, but I still forget to do my chores when I'm supposed to. Okay, Madison, first, if someone's cutting you in line for lunch, that isn't cool. But guess what? It also isn't that big of a deal. What is he going to do? Get his food 10 seconds before you? It's not really anything to be that worried about. The problem is that a kid like that can start to think they can do whatever they want, and they might try and do something bigger or something worse next. So if a person keeps doing it, you can just ask them why they're cutting. And maybe they actually have a good reason. Maybe they don't understand the rules. Maybe they are super hungry. But maybe they don't have a good reason. And then you can take the time to explain to them that you had to wait in line, and so did every single person behind you have to wait in line, and so they need to actually wait in line too. And then you can point out to everyone else that's been waiting and that had to wait. And you can ask them, ask this person that's cutting to go ahead and get in the back of the line like everyone else. I think that is a pretty good way to handle it. And I'm also pretty sure that you're not the only person that gets annoyed by this, and other kids behind you in line will support what you're saying. But if they don't, and it turns into a problem, you might have to talk to a teacher and explain to the teacher what's going on. But again, guess what? Not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it too much unless you think that person is really starting to get out of line by getting into line before you. The second question you ask is, how can you remember to do your chores? Well, I was going to say make a list, but it sounds like your dad already did that. And to that I ask, okay, where is the chore chart hung up? Is it in a place where you see it all day? Like on the wall in your room or by your desk or by your door, somewhere where you see it all the time. And then if you have it in a good place, then make it a habit to check the list at certain times during the day. Maybe it's you check the list before you eat every meal. So every time you pick up a fork, you got to think to yourself, oh, I got to go check my chore list. So you check it once in the morning before breakfast, you check it once at lunchtime before lunch, and you check it one time before dinner. And that way you remind yourself every time you put food in your mouth that you need to go check the chore list. And you could do that with anything. Maybe it's every time you go into your room. Maybe it's every time you get home from school. Every time you go in or out of the front door, you go check your chore list. And pretty soon it will be natural for you to go check the list and get the jobs done. And the next question is from a 7-year-old warrior kid named Jameson. And the question is, what are some good workouts for kids? Good question. Here's a good starting workout for kids. One day, do 5 sets of push-ups, as many as you can in a row. So you start doing push-ups and you do as many as you can in a row. Once you get done with that, write down how many you did, and then take a rest. Take a rest for about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and then do it again. And do as many as you can in a row. And once you can't do anymore, take another rest, and then do it again. And you're going to do that 5 times. Each one of those sets of push-ups, each time you do push-ups, that's called one set. And you're going to do those sets of push-ups 5 times. 5 times, many push-ups as you can, with a minute or 2 of rest in between. Then the next day, what you're going to do is the same thing, but instead of doing push-ups, you're going to do pull-ups, or you're going to do chin-ups. Or maybe you're just, if you can't do a pull-up or a chin-up yet, maybe you're just going to jump up and you're going to hang onto that bar as long as you can. But you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do it 5 times. And then the day after that, you're going to do 5 sets of jump squats, which is where you go all the way down and you jump as high as you can. You're going to do that 5 times. So if you realize now you're doing a different group of exercises every day, and you've got 3 days worth of exercises. When you get done, then go back to push-ups, and then back to pull-ups or chin-ups or bar hangs, and then back to jump squats. And you keep doing that until you're doing about 100 total repetitions, total push-ups or total chin-ups or total squats in your 5 sets. And when you get to where you can do that, check with me and we'll talk about a new workout. All right. Number 4. And this question is from April. And this is a warrior kid from Darwin, Australia. And the question is, how do I stop getting hurt from exercising? Well, I can tell you that if you're getting hurt from exercising, you're probably going a little bit too hard or doing a little bit too much exercise. The body is designed to do work and get stronger. Actually, when you do work, your body actually breaks down a little bit and then it rebuilds even stronger. That's what you're doing when you're working out. But if you push it too hard, you can break it down too much. So instead of getting stronger, you're actually going to end up getting weaker. And that's usually when you're going to get hurt or injured. So first of all, make sure that when you're doing your exercises, make sure that you take a break and you get enough rest. and you're not overworking your body. The other important thing here is to make sure that you're using good technique. Ask a coach or ask a teacher to show you the proper way to do the exercises that you're doing. Because if you're not doing exercises right, then they can definitely hurt you. And exercise is not supposed to hurt you. So the bottom line is make sure that you are not pushing yourself too hard, and make sure you are getting enough rest, and also make sure that you are doing your exercises correctly, or your whatever sport you're playing, make sure you are doing the sport correctly, because otherwise you might cause injuries. Now, April's sister, Chloe, also has a question. She's also obviously from Australia. She's another warrior kid. And she says, what should I do when my best friend gets me in trouble? If your best friend is getting you in trouble, you are letting her lead you in the wrong direction. And instead of letting that happen, you need to lead her in the right direction. If she is doing something wrong, tell her that she shouldn't do it. Find something else to do instead. And if she keeps doing things that get you in trouble, then you need to tell her that you don't really want to hang around with her if she acts like that, because getting in trouble is not fun. She might be causing trouble for a bunch of different reasons. And that's why you need to try and talk to her about it. She might be causing trouble because she likes the attention. Maybe she's not getting very much attention from her parents, or she has a bunch of brothers and sisters and they get a bunch of the attention, or maybe her parents work all the time so no one ever pays attention to her, and so maybe the only time she gets in trouble is when she does something wrong. Or maybe she's experiencing something else at home where things are hard for her, or maybe she's having trouble with schoolwork and she doesn't really know how to deal with it, and so she does things that end up getting her in trouble. So talk to her about it, and of course try to be nice to her, but at the same time you also have to try to get her to stop, because if you're getting in trouble, that is not good. Warrior kids do not get into trouble. We have more important things to do. So be nice to her. Try and get her to stop. Try and lead her in the right direction. The best way to lead her is to become friends with her, become closer friends with her. And then she should start to listen to you. But I'll tell you what, if she won't listen to you, if she keeps getting herself and you into trouble, you actually might need to find another friend until she can learn to behave. And the next question is from Grace, who is a 9-year-old warrior kid also from Australia, who is a celiac and would like to know how to not feel sorry for herself when she misses out on treats and candies and weak foods, because she has to miss out on so many different things. So if you don't know what celiac is, it's a little malfunction in your body that doesn't handle certain foods correctly. And so when you can't eat those foods that give you these reactions that cause problems for you. So Grace is looking at some foods and it's driving her kind of crazy because she can't eat the foods she wants to eat. Well, Grace, instead of focusing on the things that you cannot have, focus on the foods that you can have. There are all kinds of delicious food that you can have even if you have celiac. And the best part about it is you can eat my favorite food, which is steak. And steak is much better than any cake or any bread out there. And also, a lot of the foods that you can't eat, they're not actually healthy anyways. So you are going to be healthier because you don't eat them. And because you have to exercise your discipline to stay away from foods that you know your body doesn't like, you are going to learn better control over your desire. And that's a good thing. That'll make you more disciplined. That will help you being a warrior kid. So keep it up, Grace. And the last question is from Jackson. Jackson is 10 years old, and he wants to know how he can become more aggressive in soccer. He needs confidence to not back down, being worried that he's going to get hurt. So how do we do that? Number one thing is practice. You got to practice, and then you got to practice. And then you got to practice some more. Practice dribbling, practice kicking, practice sprinting and stopping, and practice heading the ball, practice, and then practice some more. And then what you need to do is you need to start practicing attacking the ball, attacking when someone else has the ball. So find one of your parents or your brother or your sister, one of your friends, and start off with them just kind of going light and not really defending the ball very well, but you come in and you get that ball from them. And then have them go a little bit harder. And the next day, have them go a little bit harder. And the next day, have them go a little bit harder. And what you're going to see is that each time when you go in to get the ball, nothing happens. Nothing bad happens. You just get the ball. That's what happens. And you're going to realize when they go even a little bit harder, there's still nothing that happens. And then you're going to go a little bit harder and still nothing happens. You're just going to get the ball. Now, eventually, guess what? You're going to bang your shin or you're going to bang your knee. And when you do, guess what? It's not going to be that big of a deal. And it's only going to happen occasionally. And you're going to see that it hurts for a minute. Maybe it hurts for 2 minutes. Maybe it hurts for 3 minutes. But the hurt that you feel from maybe getting kicked in the ankle or maybe getting hit in the shin, that feeling is not going to last very long. But the feeling that you get from doing a good move and stealing the ball away from someone else on the soccer field is going to make you feel good. And it's going to make up for the little tiny bit of pain that might come occasionally. I also played soccer, and I played a lot of soccer, and I barely ever got injured. In fact, I don't think I ever really got injured playing soccer. So you might get banged up a little bit, but it's not going to hurt you too bad. Keep practicing. Keep stealing the ball from people that you know, have them train with you, and you will eventually get to a point where you're not scared anymore, and then you can be more confident and more aggressive on the field. And then you're going to start to win, and winning feels good. And that is it for questions. And I wanted to read a quick story that was written by Uncle Jake about when Uncle Jake was a kid and how he learned something about life. So here is a story from Uncle Jake. When I was a kid, I played soccer in the summertime. We practiced during the week and had a game every Saturday. And the coach told us to run on Sundays. In fact, he told us to run a specific trail by the soccer field with a giant hill on it. The hill even had a name. It was called Horrible Hill because it was so horrible to run up. And after a game on Saturday, when I woke up on Sunday, I never really wanted to do it. But my mom knew I was supposed to run Horrible Hill on Sundays, so my mom or my dad would bring me down there so I could run it. But one Sunday, after a really hard game the day before, I really, really didn't want to run Horrible Hill. I don't want to do it, I told my mom. Well, you're supposed to, she told me. But I'm really tired from the game yesterday, I told her. Well, the coach told you to run Horrible Hill anyways, my mom said back. Well, the coach doesn't know how tired I am, I told her. He knows you must be tired from the game, she said. But I'm so sore too, I told her. And I just don't feel like it. It's horrible, that Horrible Hill, you know. Well, that's why they call it Horrible Hill, she said. Well, they should call it that, I said back. It is horrible, and I don't want to feel horrible today. Okay, my mom said. It's your decision, but coach is going to want to know if you ran it or not when you get to practice on Monday. And if you don't run it now, he's going to make you run it twice on Monday. My mom was right about that. I had forgotten that little rule. The rule was if we didn't run Horrible Hill on our own on Sunday, coach would make us run it twice on Monday. I thought about that for a few seconds, and then finally I told my mom, fine, I'll run it. Can you please take me down there? Sure, my mom said. And she did. And she drove me to the soccer field. And then my mom got out a book to read while I ran up horrible hill. And at first I stood there for a little while. And I just thought about it. Of course, that wasn't really getting me anywhere. And then my mom finally said, "You aren't going to fly up that hill, you know." And she was right. I needed to run. I wasn't going anywhere. So I stopped thinking about it and I just did it. And it was hard. And my legs were sore and my lungs burned and it was hot and humid and I was miserable all the way to the top. But when I got to the top, I looked down and I felt better. I saw the world below me, quiet and beautiful and lush and green and filled with the life of summer. And I filled my lungs with air and I ran down fast, gaining speed and stepping over rocks and jumping logs and feeling the rush of the wind in my face. And when I got down to the bottom, I felt great. I was a little sore and I was definitely tired, but I had done what I was supposed to do. I had done something hard, something horrible. And while I was doing it, it felt horrible. But as soon as I was done, I felt good. In fact, I felt great. I felt 1,000 times better than I felt before I did it. I felt amazing. And I always try to remember that feeling. If I'm facing something that I don't want to do, I think of old horrible hill. And I think of how good I felt when I was done with it. And that is what I do with anything horrible that I have to do. I just go and I do it, knowing that it will feel better when I am done. And that is the lesson that I learned from Horrible Hill. When you don't want to do something because it is going to be hard, just go and do it. Go run up that horrible hill. And that is all we have for this Warrior Kid podcast. If you want to get one of the Warrior Kid books, you can get them at warriorkid.com. And you can get them also on Amazon, including Mikey and the Dragons. And also you can order the newest Warrior Kid book, which is called Where There's a Will. And if you want a Warrior Kid t-shirt or Jiu-Jitsu rash guard, you can get them from jockostore.com. And if you start Jiu-Jitsu and you need a Jiu-Jitsu gi for kids, you can get one at originmaine.com. And that's also where you can get Warrior Kid Mulk, which is a food that tastes delicious and it makes you stronger and healthier. And that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reading the books, and remember what I learned from running up Horrible Hill. Don't wait, just go get it done. Run up that horrible hill. Now go out there, train hard, study hard, work hard, get after it, and be a warrior kid.